Hey guys, Dennis back with a brand new video. So today we're going to be talking about whole house water filters. What I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be cutting out all this old piping. We're going to be installing a new whole house 2-stage water filter system that we're going to build out from scratch on the wall here on this wood panel I put in. So what we're going to be using to replace this old Cuno is a A.O. Smith. Now I picked this up at one of the big box stores, aka Lowe's. These are about 50 bucks a piece, and the cool thing about these is I can actually eliminate this bypass valve over the top that was on here originally. This has a setting on here to go from filtered water to off or to bypass. So this will technically bypass itself with this handle in the correct position. So that's really nice. I'm gonna be using 2 of these. I'm gonna use the first stage as a sediment filter, and then the second stage, I'm gonna stick one of these carbon filters in. Let's get into assembling all of this. All right, and we wanna make sure the outlet of our first filter is going to the inlet of our second filter. All right, so we have our first and our second stage mounted together now. So this is what we're gonna end up with here. I have a 2-inch brass nipple. I have a 3/4 to 1/2-inch reducer. Could not find one that was 3/4 to 1/4, so I ended up having to go 1/2 to 1/4. But we'll have a 200 PSI gauge on here, and then we'll have our PEX connector on here so we can hook our PEX supply up. So since this already has a bypass feature in the head of the filter housing, I'm not gonna worry about running another line up with a bypass valve. All right, so how we're attaching this whole assembly to the board is we're not using this because there's nothing on the bracket that came in these to keep these filters from moving back and forth while they're mounted to the wall. So I grabbed some of these 1-inch split ring clamps, and we can actually just affix those right onto the 3/4 T. It'll fit right on this shoulder on the T really good. So all we do now is we take some of these mounting plates here. We're gonna cut a length of threaded rod, and we're gonna mount basically these two together just like this, and this will get screwed to the board. We're gonna leave a nut on here, and that nut will allow us to lock this threaded rod in place. Put that on there like that, and then we'll just tighten these nuts, and these nuts act like jam nuts, and it keeps this whole mounting assembly that we just built from turning. Just like that. Now we have a mounting block to mount this to that wood backer plate. Look at this now. That's only with 2 screws in here. This thing's solid. All right, and that's all there is to it. And it's gonna be really nice to not have this right here, because every time I walk by, or the kids are playing air hockey, or if I'm playing air hockey with them, I tend to bang my head on this thing. So it's gonna be nice to have this mounted on the wall. All right guys, so our next step is a really important one. We're gonna be tying in our water to the new filter assembly, and we're gonna be cutting out the old filter. So this is our main right here, and we want to shut that off, and this is the drain valve. It's on the other side of the meter, and we're just gonna open this up now, and this is gonna let all of the water drain out of the cold side of the plumbing in the house. So we should be good now to shut this off. I'm just gonna cut it here. Now our old filter assembly is out. All right, so we got that cut off. Now, eventually all this is gonna get replaced by PEX, but for the meantime, just to get everything back up and running, we're connecting it right here. Use this, we're gonna clean up the ends here. All right, so what we need to connect PEX to the existing plumbing here is a female sweat adapter. It just slides right over the end, and you sweat that on here. And you wanna use a silver solder, a lead-free solder. Now, I'm not gonna be shooting straight on here like this. I'm gonna be going in from the side. And you want to have that rag available to wipe this off quickly. All right, so you want to be about an 8, really no more than that. Get your crimper on. Ring on there, we're gonna 90 over now. Okay, now this is gonna be our piece that's headed towards the filter. So we want to cut it a little bit before. We want to elbow up and over. Okay, let's get a ring on here. We can kind of get an idea of what this is gonna look like now. As you can see, this is really quick using PEX. I'm old school. I actually like sweating copper, but copper's expensive. And then we can figure out where the elbow needs to go. Let me give you a close-up. You'll see no-go and go. So no-go is if this goes too far in. That means it's over crimped. And you can actually adjust the preload on the crimpers. If it doesn't go on at all, that would be a no-go also. That means it was under crimped. But if it goes exactly halfway where that line is, that's a go. Everything looks good there. We'll get secured up top. All right, so now we're piping our inlet. And this was the old piping. This valve used to weep all the time. The drain valve at the low point actually used to leak all the time too, so I replaced that after I drained the system off. And this is all that's left of the original plumbing. You can see everything I've done so far. So basically we're gonna do the same thing on this side, but we also need to do a tee off, and I'm actually gonna leave a stub because I'm not gonna have enough time to get to it today for the outside spigot. And make sure to check out that video. I'm gonna show you how to install a frost-free spigot. If you look at where my water main comes in, normally they come in through the wall. Mine comes out about 1.5 feet into the basement, which is kind of a pain, but we tend to have like a shelf over here anyways to keep anybody from bumping into it. So I was able to just loosen up on the meter and rotate this whole assembly over. So I think I'm just gonna run this over and then I can come straight up. And what we can do is we can use one of these fittings on here. Alright, so we're gonna turn our main water on now, check for leaks. I have both filters set for off here. I wanna watch the water pressure build on this side. We're gonna shut this. That goes to the outside, or will go to the outside. Alright, so let's crack our main. We wanna do this really slow. You don't wanna just jam this on. Alright, now I have this valve open. I'm gonna shut this valve. As I mentioned, that is my city water pressure. It is about 92 or so. So it looks like everything's holding up so far. I don't see any leaks. I have no water coming out of any of the PEX connections here. All right, so what we're gonna do now is talk about filters. So our first filter, I'm just gonna use what came with it. Now, if you buy one of these from the store, especially if you have a filter housing that you can't see through, you wanna open it up and make sure the filter doesn't have plastic on it. Sometimes they come with plastic on them and that'll mess you all up. Now this O-ring is already lubed. We're gonna make sure that it is in the groove here really well. And all you do is just try to balance that kind of straight up and down as best as you can. And this is just a sediment filter here. Now this did come with a filter wrench. I tend to not use the filter wrench to tighten them, only to loosen them up. So I'm just gonna hand tighten this. Right, now on our second stage here, I want to take this sediment filter out. I want to put a carbon filter in. So I'm going to pull this guy out, and I want to use one of these 5-micron carbon filters. So I'm going to drop this in. And these are all 10-inch. So the carbon filter will hopefully filter out any chlorine taste and any odor within the water. This should trap any sediment, dirt, stuff like that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to switch this to filter slowly. And you'll see that it's starting to fill up. Now on the top of this guy, you'll hear that little air. This is how you bleed the air off and make sure your water is full all the way to the top of the housing. We're gonna let this fill up, and that is gonna let water now, if I move this all the way over to filter, it's gonna let water come over to the next stage. We'll switch all the way over the filter now. So this handle's in line. All right, now I'm getting water out of the top. Now I know that is bled. So now what I wanna do here is switch this to filter. And this one I'm gonna put on extra slow because also with this one, since we don't have a shut off here, we need to make sure that we have no leaks going back to the main system here. All right, we got no leaks on any of our filters here, so that's really good. And all of our fittings are made up real good. I can actually hear water coming into the pipes right now. I just wanna keep an eye on all of these fittings here. I'm gonna goose this a little bit more. And it's gonna make a bunch of funny noises, don't be worried about that. Now this is probably gonna take a few minutes before it builds pressure because it has to fill all of the pipes in the house. I closed all of the faucets, so I'll bleed those off after. All right, and after doing plumbing work, expect to see sediment and stuff coming out of your faucets and your fixtures. You know, it's nothing to worry about. You're literally stirring up the scale that's been building inside of the pipes over the years. So, all right, guys, and that's all there is to it. You know, it is definitely involved, so plan on spending, you know, a bit of your day, especially if you have to do a lot of replumbing like I did. If you have a spot where it'll fit right back in, you know, it'll be a lot quicker. Make sure to hit that like button, click that subscribe button, and thanks for watching. Till next time. Hey guys, Dennis back with a brand new filter? Wait, brand new video. Yeah, brand new video, that's it.